coming to you live here from Evo, the capital of Portugal's south-central Alentejo region. In the city's historic center stands the ancient Roman temple of Evora, also called the Temple of Diana. Should be Triana, but okay. Here we are today with day number 3, group number C of the StarCraft Evolution League. I'm, of course, Yaku of TheStC, and with me today is La Mariposa Espacial que hace muchos pastelas. Light _ VIP. How we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? It is great to be back once again, as you said, with the third group of the SEL Full Championship. We did take, in a way, a day break. We covered Group A, Group B last night. We were live with the Pondcast to kind of break up the groups here of the SEL Full Championship. But now we are back with group number C, as you said.
Number C. I did say that, I don't remember. Yeah, we needed a little bit of a break, a one-day break, so that, our minds don't get broken by especially today, as we're getting into a little bit more of a Terran-dominated group here, and so we didn't want our minds broken by all the lockdowns.
Oh yeah, exactly. We'll. I mean, we may just still see it. We'll see what the group does entail. I would also ask you, Yaku, if you could check your mic. You sound a little bit further away than usual. But maybe. Oh my god. Jesus. But regardless, the switcher scene's over, and let's have a look at the group itself. As we go over the group stage here, we have our 4 players. We have SKillous versus the TheStC, and we have Spirit versus 3 Point. Oh, if you're... I don't know what you did, Yaku, but now you're muted. Okay, well, you're back.
Yes.
Okay, you're back.
Discord got disabled my mic for some reason. For good reason, probably.
Oh, good. Okay, you sound better. You sound better. Oh, good. But yes, we are going to be entering Group C. We have our 4 players here tonight. As you did mention, this time for Group C, we have 2 Terrans. So we will have a TvT at some point, or potentially. I guess there's a world where we don't actually see a TvT between these players.
Yeah. That's the best timeline.
Okay.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah, I haven't been able to witness a TvT between StarCraft 2 Terran and Brute War Terran yet. I'm not sure if I want to know or if I would prefer to find out. Do they last longer or shorter than a typical StarCraft 2 TvT or a Brute War TvT? My God.
I would say that it's shorter than SE2. I think I would say it's shorter than SE2 TvT, but I don't think I've casted enough of it to be fair. Like, I definitely casted some Terran versus Terran, but I don't think I've seen enough of it to really fully commit one way or another. Yeah. We need some more TvT in our lives.
So what you're saying is we need 2 TvTs tonight? No, that's not possible. Never mind. The most we can get tonight is going to be 1, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's how the math would work. But regardless, we have our 4 players. Again, as a reminder, this is a GSL group format, so 4 players enter and only 2 will make it through into the main event. We've already wrapped up 2 of these groups, and now we have 2 groups left.
Here we go.
As we have our first series here, it is going to be SKillous versus the TheStC. Now, we have casted SKillous in StarCraft Evolution in the past. He has been semi-active when it comes to the bi-weekly Open Cup, so SKillous, he is somewhat familiar with this. Likewise, the TheStC, I believe, has been also competing quite a bit as well, or at least playing customs. He has been enamored by this game mode and has even opted to cast.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the more recent weeks where he's been more involved as a player. I mean, he was here very early on from the beginning of StarCraft Evolution League as more of a caster and more of a commentator, content creator, and stuff like that. But And these past couple of weeks, he's really decided to step it up a little bit and get his hands dirty, if you
Yeah.
will.
And it's going to be interesting because I don't know how much time he has invested into practicing and into competing and preparing for this group as well. So I don't really know how to place him. I don't really know how to judge him, especially compared to some of these other players that that again are semi-active or potentially have not actually played too much of StarCraft Evolution. I'm looking at Spirit for that one. I don't know how much Spirit has invested. But when it comes to the group stage overall, 3 is going to be the heavy favorites. He should be the one to make it out in first place. He is a many-time SEL bi-weekly Open Cup champion. He's won many of those Open Cups for good reason.
Yeah. I think in our previous two groups, my own predictions were not entirely 100%. Didn't 100% come to pass. I remember in Group A, I was really expecting Kiwian to make it through as opposed to, was it Rebellion, if I remember correctly? Or was it Lunacy?
Yeah, he came out over Rebellion, yeah.
Yeah, it was Kiwian who made it through over Rebellion, and I remember in Group B, I was kind of predicting Classic in first place and then Quanta in second place, but that was a complete reversal, so I'm with you here. I do think that 3 is the heavy favorite, but it's also specifically because he has that record. And that's something that I think our previous predictions didn't really... My previous predictions, anyway, didn't really have when I was... For instance, in the Classic group, in Group B, Classic had only won one SC Evolution, but I was just assuming that because, he is a top StarCraft 2 player, he'd be able to make it through in first place. This time, though, if 3 doesn't make it out first, then I'm going to have to question everything I know about statistics.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy if that does occur, and we are here to jump on in. Game 1 is going to be on Ley Lines here between SKillous and the STC. Ley Lines, of course, being an SC2 PTR map. It is one of the up-and-coming maps in the PTR, and now we get to experience it's here in SEL.
Indeed, we shall. I have to ask, I'm assuming STC is the higher seed here, as he did come from a qualifier.
I believe so.
Okay, well, I'll get into why I want to know that after we finish up the intros over here, where we're going to be kicking things off on Ley Lines, where we're here in the top right-hand corner of the map, running all the way in. It's top right-hand corner. We, of course, have our blue Brood War Protoss player coming down and playing from the Netherlands. He is, of course, going to be representing Team Liquid. His name says it all. He's got skill, because he's skillless.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the usually caster, but now stepping back into the ring after a long time of not competing in StarCraft. It is the STC.
Here we go. And the reason why I want to know whether or not which player was the higher seed coming into this is because
go on. I mean, there's a proxy.
There is a proxy coming down here from SKillous, but yeah, because as we know, that for game number 1, the higher seed gets to pick which era they play and which era their opponent plays. And so far, we've seen that regardless of who, it's been pretty consistent that the higher seed has pretty much consistently chosen StarCraft 2 as their preferred or the era that they're more confident in. I was expecting the STC as a little bit more of an old school player to maybe be one to switch that up a bit, but yeah, so far he is still more confident in StarCraft 2, as it seems.
Yeah, at least for this starting map, we should emphasize, as the SCV takes a lot of hits. Oh my god, takes a lot of damage here by the probe already. A cheeky start by SKillous does throw in the pylon, will disrupt any kind of wall off that the SCC does attempt, and we do see a proxy zealot initially here. Actually, never mind, it was going to be cancelled. We do have Dragoons on the way from SKillous.
Interesting. Good response coming out here from the STC. He didn't quite scout the gateway, but he did spot the pylon, so he is taking things very, very cautiously. He also knows that, yeah, with this pylon getting up on the ramp, he's going to have to take a much more defensive posture.
Yeah, the bunker is on the way. The first Zealot does engage with the Reaper, just trying to buy some time. Reaper does scout the proxy, but the Dragoon is going to pop out in a couple of seconds. With the Dragoon, then SKillous can keep things going. Oh my god, meanwhile, things are popping off. So first things first, SKillous is not all in. He is expanding back at home, but this is a way to try to disrupt the build and disrupt the initial early game of the SCC. At the same time, though, he's going for a proxy starport.
Yeah. A little bit of... giving him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine here, in a way.
Yeah, so we have the counter proxy here to try to get some counter damage across the map. Meanwhile, the first two Dragoons have arrived. They're going for the deeper. The Hellion actually does put the bust through.
And nice little bits of micro there. Coming up from the SCC, actually distracting a little bit of aggro from the Dragoons. With that pylon going down, there's no longer any high ground vision, but we still have two Dragoons, so... yeah, SKillous is going to see if he can bust on forward anyway.
Yeah, but they're taking a lot of damage here. No Dragoon does go down. 3 SCV kills here across the map. Not too bad. A Hellion busts into the mineral line, but there's a shield battery that's Dragoon as well, so the Hellion has to get the hell out of here. But at least the STC does confirm that SKillous is expanding. That it's not a one base all in, so the STC knows that he should not be too far behind with his own CC timing. Never mind, he throws down a second Rax.
Alrighty then. This seems a little bit too late to try to go into a 3 racks or anything like that, but I suppose better safe than sorry here from the STC. I mean, he could always build his second CC or his natural CC on high ground and then wait for it, but yeah, he's opting to go for a lot more aggression here. The STC wants to end this.
Yeah, this is going to be a one base all in. So this is turning into one base all in from the STC. Liberator does get across the map. Will deny a lot of mining time here, bearing in mind that SKillous was on a 0 base mining. Oh my god, 0 base mining for quite some time. Hellion shot's going to be coming in, but last the Dragoon will defend.
And if only there was one more Hellion here. Those probes, they were lined up for it. You know, the Liberator comes back into play. But very quick reaction from SKillous, only going to be losing one more probe here.
Yeah, only one more worker goes down. Liberator finally falls. Meanwhile, second Liberator has arrived, takes down the Dragoon. The proxy is still up and running, but at least SKillous is aware. He is fully aware of the proxy. He has spotted location already. He will soon shut that down. At the same time, the SSC does break out, does try to at least.
Yeah, I can't exactly fight Dragoons with only Marines the same way you can with Stalkers.
Yeah, but he can with the tanks. Takes down 2 Dragoons. Very nice pickles. Third Dragoon is going to go down as well. SKillous, otherwise preoccupied, distracted by those Liberators. And he will lose 3 Dragoons in the process. The SC, he's gaining ground. He pulls a couple of boys here, and he's trying to get on top of that proxy gateway.
Some multi-prong attempts coming out here from the STC. And like you said, SKillous a little bit preoccupied. Will not lose a Dragoon.
Yeah, it doesn't lose the Dragoons, but probes are going down across the map. Gateway is going to finally fall. As you did mention, there was 1 Liberator in the natural, 1 Liberator in the main. They're going to be cleaned up, but not without losing workers here. 7 probes did go down.
Yeah, some probes do fall, but that's a little bit of a drop in the bucket right now for SKillous. The STC, he needs to go, and he's setting up to go. 3 tanks already prepared, a whole bunch of Marines, and even 3 SCVs to build bunkers.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it is a complete all-in here from the STC. Is moving out across the map. There is a shuttle that's coming in to, I imagine, reinforce or to try to save and juggle some units. But the STC has to be, sorry, I should say SKillous has to be so confident to be called out. Up!
Like so.
As he pulls away kites against Marines.
Yeah, some pretty good kiting coming out here from SKillous. As we have noted previously, shuttles, they do have a very short pickup range, so yeah, SKillous in even more trouble than he typically would be.
Exactly, Liberator goes down to the main base, but the tanks, they're getting within range with the natural. Shield batteries going down, pylons going down. What SKillous have left to work with? He has 2 gateways. 2 gateways in the main. He's making 2 Dragoons at a time, but pushing into these tank lines with Dragoons, I mean, how can he do it here without taking too much damage?
Oh, I'm glad you added that caveat, because I was going to say, he can, he'll just die.
Yeah.
He can if he doesn't mind dying.
Yeah, the tank line is brutal here, and he might just have to pull the boys to try to break this position. He's going to be repositioning his Dragoons here from the right-hand side, but the Nexus itself is close to going down.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at the range of these tanks, or rather, I should say, look at the Venn diagram of what they cover. There's really an angle here. for Skills to push in. That wouldn't mean that these Dragoons get taken out. The tanks were on siege for a brief little period, but once they siege up, this is the beginning of the end here, by the looks of things.
Wow, yeah, every Dragoon falls. The Nexus falls as well. What is there left? There's still 2 tanks, a Liberator, there's still Marines, and there is nothing left for Skillous. He has 1 Zealot. Liberator shows up in the main. It doesn't shoot up.
Nothing shoots up. The Zealot doesn't shoot up. GG is called. The STC will be taking game number 1.
Okay, GG, well played. The SEC, he was in a way forced into an all-in. Skillous did have a very strong start, was able to get quite a bit of damage, was able to force the SEC to be contained on 1 base, but clearly we saw that it's fine. He likes the 1 base play pattern. He's fine with it.
Yeah. This has got to be one of my favorite genres of games, right? Which is, look what you made me do. That's what I call them. I didn't want to go for the 1 base all in. I didn't want to proxy the Liberators, but, you know, now you forced my hand.
There you go. There you go. So it's the copium response where you're like, oh, you made me all in you. I totally wasn't going to do that anyway. But yeah, really strong response out of the STC. It wasn't just that. It was really nice to see him have the wherewithal to have an SCV out on the map and to go for the proxy Liberator, right? The Liberator harass didn't end the game.
SCV scouting, so.
Yeah, true. He was, and he was able to keep that alive and get that starport going, and it allowed him to distract Skillous from time to time to eventually break out. Got some counter damage. It meant that Skillous didn't have the easiest road there in towards a 2-base economy.
Yeah. Would have been ahead if he lived a little bit longer, but fortunately, SCC, he had other plans for him. But with that, we can get ready for game number 2. This time on a map that I don't think we've seen yet in the Fall Championship.
Oh, yeah, this is a little bit different here. I believe this might even be a unique map to the Fall Championship. I don't recall ever casting this map during the regular season of the SEL, and we are loading into Citadel.
Indeed, we are. Here we have it. Gonna be spawning into yet another one of these 4-player maps. You'll have to see them with destructible ice crates. As we're learning, we'll figure out what that does hopefully later down the line. As for now, we're just going to be spawning in here in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right with our red StarCraft 2 Protoss player. He is, of course, going to be representing his team, Team Liquid. We have SKillous.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Citadel, we have the green Brood War Terran player from South Korea leading the series 1-0. It is TheStC. And once again, we do have a 4-player spawn map, so we can see Skillous. He scouts bottom right, he's scouting bottom left. He will eventually determine where exactly the SCC is, but it's going to be a bit of a later scout here from Skillous. Meanwhile, the SCC, no fear, no care in the world, not a single SCV out on the map.
Yeah, he knows. He knows that the onus is on Skillous to push into him. And all his lockdowns and tanks.
And this is such a unique feature here of the map, Yaku, is that, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of ramps, but they're like, in a way, like reverse ramps.
Yeah, like speed bumps.
Yeah, where because of how the ramps are, because the ramps are like 1 hex large, it's like these little hills.
Wide,
yeah, which means you don't have like the high ground advantage that you otherwise usually would have. Like it's yeah. They almost use like a cycle.
Exactly. They feel a bit more like sight blockers, or again, they just remind me of speed bumps on a road.
Yeah.
You can even see it when the SCV moves over a little, just up, down.
And I'm pretty sure you can siege units on it, but again, it's just a very thin like strip of high ground there. So just something very unique here. Again, like as we were alluding to, it also means it's harder to kind of like scout over it without scanning ahead of time or having a unit over it.
You know what? It's actually almost like shrubbery in a way.
Yeah, true. It is like
shrubbery that you can you have to climb on top of? Question mark?
Yeah. It's like an alternate shrubbery. True. There are some slightly different features here and there on it, but yeah, that's definitely a way to put it. So yeah, once again, just something unique that we don't see in StarCraft 2. we just don't see it.
Yeah. That we do not. Another thing is, I mean, I clicked out of it after it came in, but apparently there are ice blocks somewhere that are like Zerg eggs.
Yeah, I have yet to properly come across them yet. I mean, there are rocks that are covering the Zelnaga towers. As you can see, there are 4 Zelnaga towers throughout the map, but you do have to knock down those rocks to actually gain access to them. The other really interesting thing here is the fact that, on the one hand, yes, this is like shrubbery, but I don't think we've ever had a situation like this where we have shrubbery at the entrance to the main. Right, as you can see here, like that, there's that little speed bump at the entrance. And you can see here, actually, there are Protoss crates on the ramp as well.
There are.
So yeah, that's just...
You can destroy them.
Yeah, they are destructible. So you can open up the choke point there, I should say, as the game does progress. But and that, I imagine
does it lower the speed bump?
I don't think so. I think it just widens it.
Ah.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
So yeah, just really,
then
really...
Protoss can finally have a door.
True, but really interesting. Meanwhile, we just see SKillous is going 3-gate blink. 3-gate blink Stalkers, a 4th gateway is on the way. Hyper aggression here from SKillous. He's moving out with the Stalkers at the same time. The SEC does go for a Vulture drop into the main.
Yeah, both players going to be losing units here, but who's going to come out better is, as always, the main question. Spider-Man Research just finished up. A couple of them going to try to land, going to try to connect. A couple of them do burrow.
Yeah, they do burrow in the main base at the same time. Stalker across the map gets surrounded. Blink is not yet done. Stalkers are going down. So far, it looks like more probes have fallen here. Oh, God.
Yeah, the Vultures trying to drop their mines wherever they can, and one of them will burrow and will connect with the Stalkers, and with that, it looks like the SKillous has been weakened enough that I don't think that the drop will really continue. Meanwhile, or the aggression will really continue. Meanwhile, the SEC, his Vultures also got cleaned up on the other side of the map, but he did get a few more worker kills.
You did get extra worker kills. Meanwhile, there's one Vulture still alive. It gets dropped into the main base. There are some of those Widow Mines or some of those Spider Mines that can be utilized here. You can try to drag the army within range as the Spider Man does burrow in. Oh.
And not quite in range of any probes, unfortunately.
Yeah, not quite.
But you know what? One false move.
Yeah, true. He has to be so careful with his army movements. Meanwhile, it looks like Siege Mode has been researched, and the SCC against Protoss is embracing mech. Something that we've yet to see here in the SEL 4 Championship.
Yeah, not quite yet, but something that I think is probably more viable with the Brute War kit than with the StarCraft 2 kit.
Yeah, for sure. The Vulture just adds so much more utility here early on with the Spider Mines, with their mobility as well. Meanwhile, we do get a drop into the main. Blink is now done. We have 4 Stalkers, and they're going for the SCVs.
Opting for the SCVs and really staking their claim behind this side of the map. STC, a little bit of a late reaction.
Yeah, late reaction here. 6 SCVs is going to be going down. Very nice damage here by SKillous. The tank's going to be sieging up, and finally the STC will defend, but as the dust does settle, SKillous will take a worker lead, and he's going for the 3rd.
Yeah, pulling very far ahead here when it comes to the economy. He is up 11 workers, and like you mentioned, he's getting his 3rd base way quicker than the STC will. That was quick.
Yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a pause here. SKillous, he is saturating that 3rd base, moving out with his Stalkers as well, and it's going to be on the SSC to try to slow down the aggression.
That it will. Meanwhile, back in the main gate base, we do see SKillous trying to go in with another drop, but we already have a defensive setup coming in over here, and I didn't think we'd see it, Light. That's a floating eBay.
That is a floating eBay. 1 tank goes down to the drop from SKillous, so very nice control from the Protoss player. Does lose 1 Stalker. At the same time, 4 more Stalkers hitting the front lines as well, and there were some buildings that were barely out of range of the tanks, so SKillous, he is getting damage done at these fringe locations. As you did mention, yeah, I mean, it does make sense here when you're playing mech to have a use, some kind of use for the eBay to morph it into essentially an Overlord.
That's that's exactly how it functions over here. What are those cannons shooting at?
Are the cannons in the background? Oh, are we like on like a space station?
It seems like we are.
Yeah. I mean, we're on a citadel. True.
True.
But they going ham.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's just rapid fire.
There's like a big.
They're
cannon.
shooting in different directions.
Yeah, there's like a big cannon like further in. You see? It's like
there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one's moving around.
It is. Ah, it's nice. Why do we have that?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Why don't
asset
we have
before. Yeah, on a like a ladder map. I mean, yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
There's drop coming down. There's some zealots.
Yeah, nice little zealot drop gets one tank. Oh.
And meanwhile, the Stalkers will push in once again. Gonna be just trying to contain the STC on 2 bases for as long as possible. Well, SKillous, he's working on that 4th base. He's already teched up massively, getting Archons now.
Yeah, Charger, Arc Blink Stalker, very gateway heavy composition here for SKillous. He has not decided to take into Storm or anything like that, but really doesn't need to, not against this kind of army, as that is a lot of tanks. And we can even see the SEC kind of getting choked up here with some of his production. Is breaking through and is going to try to slowly expand and get a 3rd.
Yeah. And he has high ground. He's got a tank on the speed bump. And you know what I just realized, Light, about these tanks?
Yeah?
They jiggle when they shoot.
Yeah, because like the vibrations of the shot.
Yeah, the force.
Yeah, exactly.
The momentum.
Oh, wait, here it goes.
Vibranium, man.
Yeah, SKillous, he does break in. Charge doesn't get on some of the tanks. That's what, 3, 4, 5 tanks go down. All the tanks go down. GG gets called. SKillous, he does break through. Not enough support, not enough of a buffer there for those tanks. And SKillous takes game number 2.
GG. Very nicely done here. It seems that, yeah, while Brute War mech may be a little bit more viable against StarCraft 2 Protoss than StarCraft 2 mech is, it still doesn't help if you're on half the base count, if you have half the economy and you can't get any buffer for your tanks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did feel like the SSC went too heavy on the tanks there. As we see time and time again when it comes to mech, a buffer is quite important. Not just the vultures themselves, but the spider mines that they provide as well to try to have some kind of buffer zone to protect those tanks. We saw that there was none. We saw there were just very few vultures. Vulture production was beginning towards the end there, but it was a little bit too little too late, and we saw that SKillous was able to take full advantage of those exposed tanks. So very nice engage, and that takes us all the way to the ace match.
Here we go, game number 3 of our best of 3.
Yeah, we're going to be loading into Sylphid, another SC Evo map, another port from Brood War, and it is going to be a 3-player spawn map.
Yeah, love to see it.
We go. But yeah, it was really cool to see, like the nice little addition there, nice little addition of just the vibrations, or just the impact of the tank shot on the tank itself. Yeah.
Got assets. And speaking of assets, we're going to be loading in now onto Sylphid for our final map of this particular series, where we're here in the bottom right hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right hand corner of the map, that map being Sylphid. It is the map that we are going to be loading into. We have our red StarCraft 2 Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is currently teamless, as he of course is a bit more focused on casting, on content creation, but as we've seen so far tonight, still very competitive. Let's see if he can keep that going. We have the STC.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the Brood War Protoss, representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous.
Yeah, speaking of SKillous, you know, I'll need to double check this because I'm not sure if he's the only player in the tournament that is that this applies to, or if there are a few others. But SKillous, actually born after Brood War came out. was released.
True. I think that's the case with some of the Koreans, like 3 Points. I think he's like one of the quote-unquote younger Korean players, so I think he's also, yeah, I think he was also born afterwards. Interesting.
Yeah, I have to check with Rebellion if that was the case with him as well.
Sure. Quanta as well, I think. Actually, no. I think Quanta, when I think of the next generation, like amateur, semi-pro Koreans, I think Quanta's actually older. I think.
I think Quanta is older than I am, but I don't know if that if he is older than Brute War.
Never mind, it doesn't sound as like a video. Never mind.
Okay.
But regardless, we are going to be getting into our natural base. SKillous is going to be getting into his opener. He also was the first to scout his opponents, is fully aware of the STC is. Likewise, STC also scouts SKillous as well.
Yeah, both guessed correctly. SKillous went clockwise, STC went counterclockwise, and it worked out for both of them. That is this a common opening for Brute War Protoss Light?
Not at all. Fun fact, this is the first time that we are seeing in at least the full championship a Stargate opener.
Here we go. Yes, and you say scout, and that is referring to the unit coming out. Yeah. We did see a scout coming out earlier from SKillous, from his probe, but now from the Stargate as well, we're going to be seeing a scout, which may be used to scout the STC.
Yeah, it's
likely going to be used more for harass.
Yeah, like I think I want to say, I mean, in my limited knowledge of the meta in Brood War, like I mean, Corsair DT is definitely a composition that works against like Zerg, and I think we've seen like scout openers against Zerg as well, as you can imagine, to hunt down overlords, right? Just hunt down overlords and deny visions, deny scouting. Right. But against
void race of Brood War,
yeah, but against Terran, this is less common here. Just because its anti-ground attack is not really known for being too impactful. There's plenty of Marines as well, so yeah, we'll see what happens here as the scout does dive into the main and will nibble away at those SCVs.
I see what you mean, yeah. We have a couple of vulnerable SCVs, so nice little bit of target firing from SKillous. We'll be able to pick up a few of them. Needs to be careful though, he needs to get out of here!
Yeah, it does pull away. Gets 2 ACVs, 3 workers go down in total. And here comes the move out from the STC. He should be feeling quite confident that, of course, the tech is going to be delayed because of the investment into the scouts. We'll see what skills can get done with it here as the army pushes through the center of the map.
Yeah, there's another one base push coming out from the STC, but as you pointed out, this is looking to be a lot more effective than game number 1's one base push, as the STC, or I should say SKillous rather, invested so heavily into getting a scout. It will help him against the Liberator harass, but other than that, we'll see if they can really push back.
Yeah, this entire time, finally, there we go. Finally, workers, they go back to mining in the main base. There was so much less mining time in the main that does slow down the economy here of SKillous. Does slow down a wall of shield battery. Stalkers are amassing as well, and the STC is going for a one base all-in, very similar to what we saw in game number 1, where SKillous, where the STC, he's just sending it.
Yeah, sending everything.
So maybe he was planning to just one base all anyway.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't reactive in game number 1.
Oh no, not like this, as the bunkers are slowly pushing forward. Tanks likewise as well, also getting within range here of his opponents, of SKillous.
Yeah, we even have a Viking here to sort of zone away the scouts. Man, scouts really don't do a lot of damage to ground.
They do not. They do not.
And they're very strong against this Viking, but it's the Marines that they actually have to worry about.
Speaking of the Marines, though, the Marines, they do almost take down one of the scouts. 2 Marines go down. At the same time, though, the SEC, he's gaining ground here. He's getting within range of the shield batteries. They're falling. At least they are buying time, though.
Yeah, time that SKillous sorely needs right now. He's getting as many zealots as he can, but he's now supply blocked. Very badly supply blocked as well, so this is going to be a very desperate defense here coming out from SKillous. Nice little bits of spread in the initial push here with the Zealots, but this is just way too much Terran firepower to really overwhelm.
Yeah, exactly. Nice spread from SKillous, but the Zealots go down, the Dragoons go down, and it looks like the SSE is breaking through. I mean, again, there's still a lot of shield batteries to buy time for SKillous, but he has lost the majority of his army.
He has bunkers now getting salvaged, and yeah, that's slowly we're seeing the rest of SKillous's economy just go down the drain.
Yeah, the boys are pulled. 9 probes go down. No more mining here at the natural. But you can see here that now we're down to 1 tank. Only 1 tank remaining for the SSE, but reinforcements are on the way. Second tank has arrived. With the help of the second tank, he should be able to maintain this army. He should be able to break the natural.
Yeah, it's just really hard to get on top of these tanks when you don't have something like Blink or Charge.
Yeah, exactly.
These Dragoons are going to be taking the full volley of these tanks.
But he has the
that
scout.
Don't jiggle. He does have the scout.
He's getting a
Scout
marine.
the marine.
Yeah. He gets it.
Dead.
There you go.
And so is the natural base.
If that was 2 marines together instead of 1, I think the scout may have died. But at least
it's possible. The DPS is too high.
As we do see the SSC, he's pushing forward here. He's breaking on in towards the main. Once again, a decent amount of Zealots have been able to amass up. Marines are going down.
But so are Dragoons. Nice little bits of juggling coming out here from the STC. Going to be able to keep both of it. The remainder of his tanks
he's
alive.
gonna DT.
This one scout is so low.
Let's go.
He does have a DT.
The Dark Templar.
And we only have 1 orbital.
Does break through the main army. The SSE is backing the hell off back at home. He's taking a natural and he will macro. Okay, so the 1 base all-in has concluded. Did do a critical amount of damage, but we'll see if he can survive the counterattack here as the SKillous does break out.
Yeah, not that all in then.
I mean, it was a little
sub in.
Yeah.
It wasn't all in, just he didn't go in enough.
Yeah, and we'll see.
And thankfully, he had more than all.
Yeah, SKillous, it looks like he's going to try and catch one of these tanks. It looks like he will barely get the tank as well. But there's a scan. DT does go down. Raven's on the way as well. The SSC just making sure he has a detection, making sure he doesn't get caught with his pants down by those Dark Templar. Oh!
Yeah. 2 scouts!
Oh, he gets a tank!
I swear I thought the 1 SCV was going to be able to out-repair. It looked that way for a little while, but thankfully thankfully the SCV isn't that fast at repairing.
I could be mistaken. I think the Scout has the lowest anti-ground DPS, like, in the game. At least when it comes to other air units. Like, I think it's lower than Wraiths. It's obviously lower than, like, Banshees and units like that. It's, yeah, it's... I mean, you know, he's in the main, though.
I mean, it's part of the main. It's part of the name, right? It's just that a Scout.
Is it... I don't know the math here. Is the DPS, the anti-ground DPS of a Scout, lower than a Sentry's DPS?
It can't be. Sentries are pretty good.
They are good.
They're pretty powerful. Their DPS, I mean.
Yeah, especially in PvP. Like PvP DPS, true. Like it actually does damage, but against other units, though, not so sure.
Against health as opposed to just shields, yeah. Rob, Fear Dragon, get on that.
It's at least higher than a High Templar auto attack.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the Scout shoots faster, so the DPS itself goes higher. The attack, the single attack though, that one I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure about that either. I didn't. I think it's higher. Regardless, the STC does move out, this time with on two bases. This time he's got an economy behind himself. He's got a massive amount of Marines. He's got tanks. He has stim, combat shields. He has upgrades. Likewise, SKillous in a couple of seconds will have Storm, and if he can land the most perfect storms, then maybe he can hold on, but that's all he has. High Templar. Oh no!
And High Templar moving forward. They don't have an attack! Broom or High Templar don't have an attack! And so they will just Yeah, marching to their deaths. GG is called. The STC gonna be taking that series 2-1.
Whew.
Off the back of his StarCraft 2 turn.
There we go. GG, well played. The SEC, he will take it in the end at 2-1 with the 1 base all-ins. And I do think this is, again, just a really good way